Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to a by request video. A commenter on one of my previous 101 Black Label videos, the Frank M3, asked for an updated video of my Black Label 101 collection. So just like Anthony Quinn in Lawrence of Arabia, I am a river to my people. They recently announced titles 21 and 22, both Penelope Spheris films that will be out in September the 6th, I believe. Suburbia and The Boys Next Door. Boys Next Door starring Charlie Sheen. The Black Label selection from 101 is a little odd. It's films from the 80s up to the 2000s. They're mostly science fiction and horror, but not exclusively. You know, there's a Paul Verhoeven World War II film in here, so I'm not really sure what their criteria is. Some of the films aren't great, but there's usually some extras that are fascinating. They do have some feature-length making of documentaries, which very much like Arrow's 80s horror films, sometimes the feature-length making of documentary is actually better than the film. So again, I'll just go through these. So this is 1 to 20, we're up to number 20. I won't talk about them too much, but I'll maybe just address some of the extras. So number 1 is Stephen Frears' The Grifters. Again, I do like the packaging in 101, even though there is an outlier, which I'll point out. I did a Neglected Gems video in this one, because I think it's a neglected gem. This one has a wonderful feature-length commentary. Seduction, Betrayal, Murder, The Making of the Grifters. And again, they all have booklets as well, but I would highly recommend The Grifters, because again, that feature-length documentary is fantastic. Then we have Cronenberg's Existenz, which is number 2. Again, this is a new interview with Christopher Eccleston. It's got a commentary with Kim Newman. There's another commentary, and again there's a commentary with Cronenberg. Again, Cronenberg is one of those essential commentary makers. Number 3 from 1977 is Roller Coaster, which again has a lovely documentary about 70s disaster films, which again makes this well worth picking up. The film's a lot of fun as well. Then number 4 from 2006 is Black Book by Verhoeven, one of Verhoeven's best and kind of underrated one. Again, this one's got an interview with Verhoeven, and the cinematographer Carl Walter Lindenlob as well, and again, nice booklet. Number 5 from 1992 is Walter Hill's Daft Trespass with Ice-T and Ice Cube, Bill Paxton and William Sadler. Double the Ice. Again, rather nice extras. Sadly, there's not a commentary with Walter Hill, but there is 2 commentaries on this release. Number 6 from 2003 is The Cooler with William H. Macy and Alec Baldwin. Again, this one has Lady Luck, The Making of the Cooler, which is a feature-length commentary, which is absolutely fantastic. Sorry, a feature-length documentary. This does have commentaries with Wayne Kramer, the director. So this one is a really underrated little film, and the feature-length documentary of the making of is one of the best as well. Number 7 from 1982 is Class of 1984. Again, this has interviews and commentaries. This is directed by Mark L. Lester, obviously not to be mixed up with Richard Lester. Number 8, probably one of their more famous titles, 1986, Howard the Duck, which is nowhere near as bad as people, obviously at the time, absolutely bombed, but compared to today's cinema, it's not actually that bad. The best thing on this is probably Howard, a New Cult Hero, with Vic Pratt on Howard the Duck, the comic book character, obviously the differences between the comic book character and what it ended up with in the film. This has a couple of commentaries and a documentary. Again, nice booklet. Number 9 is 1977. It's another Cronenberg. It's Rabid. Again, this has part 1 of the Quiet Revolution, State, Society and the Canadian Horror Film. Part 1 is Gimme Shelter, Cinepics and the Birth of the Canadian Horror Film. There's commentaries by the Soska sisters, who reimagined Rabid quite recently. There's also a commentary with David Cronenberg. This one's absolutely stacked with extras, and I would highly recommend picking this one up if you don't have Rabid somewhere else. Or, I mean, I've got Rabid on Arrow, but the 101 release is really good. Next, number 10 from 1993 is Skinner, with Tracy Lords and Ted Raimi. This is an odd, strange little serial killer film about somebody who literally skins victims alive. This is a really good making of, and again, a nice booklet. Number 11 is Prom Night, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Leslie Nielsen. Yes, it's hard to take Leslie Nielsen seriously. It's a fun little slasher, but again, the extras on this is really good. So it has Chasing the Final Girl, which is a new documentary on the final girl in horror films, specifically slasher films. There's interviews and commentaries. It's a really nice release. The film's actually not that bad. Number 12, one of the best films in the collection as far as I'm concerned, Saul Bass's Phase 4. It's wonderful to get this on a really good release. This one has the original Saul Bass ending, an ant's life contextualising Phase 4. There's a commentary, and what makes this a really good pickup, if you can get it, is it has about 7 Saul Bass short films. This is the only feature-length film Saul Bass ever made. He's obviously famous for doing titles for Hitchcock, is it, on Scorsese later. But this was his first and only feature-length as a director. But it does have 7 of his short films. I've always loved this film. It's one of those films that creeps me out, about scientists versus ants. But that's one of the essentials you should pick up as far as I'm concerned. There's perhaps not that many in the Black Label. Number 13 from 1995 is Screamers with Peter Weller. The one with Paul Weller is a completely different film. It's a musical. This is based on a Philip K. Dick short story. And again, it's a fun little sci-fi film. This one's got a commentary with Kevin Lyons, who does a lot for Indicator and their Hammer sets. Again, lots of interviews, and of course, the booklet. Number 14 from 1985 is The New Kids, which is actually a fun little film about bullying in schools. And it's directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who's obviously more famous for Friday the 13th. And it has interviews and commentaries. It's a fun little film. Next, from 1992, number 15, Split Second with Rutger Hauer. This is a mishmash of Alien and Predator and really cheaply made, but still a lot of fun. And again, on that one, you can see the special features are absolutely loaded. I'm not going to mention every single one of them, but again, there's a great making of, interviews, commentaries. They're 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 27 minutes, 18 minutes, 22 minutes. There's just an absolute ton of stuff, and it's a fun science fiction horror film with a somewhat over the top performance by Rutger Hauer, but that's why we love Rutger Hauer. 1990, number 16 is Brain Dead. I did a random review of this. This is an interesting little film with Bill Pullman, Bill Paxton and George Kennedy. Again, this one has a feature-length documentary about the film, an interview with the director Adam Simon, and commentary with Simon. I would check this one out because it is very it's an interesting little film, or check out my random review if you can find it. Next is a double bill, which kind of I'm torn with because the set is really nice, but it sticks out with the other Black Label releases on the shelf. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night, parts 1 and 2, but as you can see, it's got a red and white spine, so strangely enough, it doesn't actually go with all the other releases in the collection, but it is a lovely box. It's embossed, and you have also the booklet, and you have the original and the sequel. Again, tons of stuff on these. They're 4K scans. Again, Sleigh Bells Ring, the story of Silent Night, Deadly Night, is a wonderful feature-length documentary. There's interviews with Linnea Quigley, commentaries. The second one, which obviously isn't as good as the first one, this has commentaries, another feature-length making of documentary, which is excellent. So a really nice set. Yes, if you're really anal, the fact that the box doesn't actually match all the other boxes on the shelf, but it's a really nice set and two fun films. Obviously, like I said, the first one is better than the second one, not surprisingly. That's kind of the way things go. Next, from 1994, Spine number 18 is a film that I thought is going to be absolutely dreadful, but it was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. It's Tammy and the T-Rex. No Vinegar Syndrome has a lenticular release of this one. This stars Denise Richards and Paul Walker from Fast and Furious fame, about somehow a boy who gets transported into the mind of a T-Rex. Yep, I actually thought this was from the 80s, but it's also in the 90s with the people involved. Yeah, it's actually a daft fun film. Like I said, I didn't think it was actually going to be as enjoyable as it is. This one has, again, a feature commentary, interviews, story about the film. Again, not one I would tell you to go and definitely rush out and buy, but if you're obviously collecting the series, then it's actually a fun little film. From 1986, number 19 is Spookies, and this is a really fun little film with lots of great creature effects. This one has an audio commentary, but this one has one of the best extras in all of these. It's Twisted Tale, The Unmaking of Spookies, which is a feature-length making of, which really goes into the creature effects, which are varied and a lot of fun, and really well done for the budget. And also there's Vipco, The Untold Story, which is a new extended version of the feature-length documentary on the distributor Vipco in the UK. So not only is this one a fun film, but you essentially get 3 films in this release. You get the feature-length making of, and also the Vipco documentary. So if you like creature features and creature effects, the rest of the film might not be a masterpiece or anything, but it is a really good release to pick up because you essentially do get 3 films for the price of 1. And that's the other thing about the Black Label collection. They're not hugely expensive, they're only like 15 quid, so it's not as if you're paying 25 or 30 pounds like some other boutique label special editions. So the latest release is number 20 from 1981, which is Hell Night with Linda Blair. Again, this is a fun little film, but again, you get the booklet. It's a 4K transfer. You get a commentary with the actors involved. There's a really nice interview with Linda Blair, and she talks about her career, obviously famous for The Exorcist, and other actors in the film are interviewed, the writer. There's an Anatomy of the Death Scenes featurette. Again, it's a nice little film. Again, nothing amazing, but it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to see it in a 4K transfer. So that's Hell Night, and that's number 20. Like I said, there's 2 Penelope Spheris films coming as in September as releases 21 and 22. Again, I'm kind of just, it's bizarre that my only 2 kind of complete collections are Indicator and 101 Black Label. Obviously 101 Black Label only has 20 titles so far, so that's a bit easier to collect than say the Criterion collection. But even the films that, let's be honest, are not great films, like I said, some of them, the feature-length documentaries, the making-ofs, are really fascinating. How to make a low-budget film, and again, even some of these films that, you know, objectively aren't very good, if you compare them to the films of today, they're actually way better and a lot more fun. So there you have it. That's the updated Black Label from 101. Again, if you have any suggestions of videos or parts of my collection that you want to see, obviously I'm working my way through my backlog, and then I do backlog complete videos, but even if you just want to see certain labels, I will do that by request. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know what your favourite 101 Black Label release is, and hopefully you'll join me again for more videos. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.